Nice. So we're live.
We are live. We're waiting for audio connections. Chilling in the lobby sometimes. You have to prompt to initiate your audio connection. So welcome, Lucas. Welcome, Steve. Filippo. Welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
How are you guys?
Here. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we can hear you. Hello, Filippo. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was pleasure to have you here. I think we're all.
Yeah. James, his audio isn't connected, but he'll be here shortly. But we have enough to start. We'll probably slow burn here for a couple minutes, see who else will join. But welcome to the uniFires Adoption Working Group. We're here today to discuss educator strategies. I hope all of you got, well, since you're here in the call already, you got the invite and saw the list of questions. Those are what we'll be going over today. Mostly, we'll start off with a little round of introductions here. Meet each other a little bit. Go around the circle, Lucas, and yeah, welcome.
Nice. So yeah, we have people from Polkadot here, and we have people from Cardano. So it will be nice experience for both. I would say groups of participants. Hello, James. I see that you figured out your audio. So yeah.
Hey.
Thank you guys for coming. Yeah, and so just to let you know, the goal is just to discuss education, try to find out. We will be me and Peter. We will be later processing everything we will learn from you and all the opinions, and we will be processing them in the article, in some research. And for us, it's important just to find out. Maybe what can we do better in regard of education in our ecosystems, what is already being done, what are maybe similarities and differences, and just like learn from each other. So I would say this is the goal of the projects. Feel free to jump in anytime you need, or anytime you want to say something. If there is, for example, question or something you don't want to answer, of course we will be not pushing you. It's not in school that now it's your time and you have to say something, but we'll be happy for any opinions. So yeah, maybe let's start with short introduction. Just yeah. So maybe I can start with, because I'm talking. So my name is Linda, and I'm from Polkadot ecosystem, senior ambassador, and I work with Codadot project, and also with some other smaller projects in the ecosystem. And yeah, I started with Peter this uniFires initiative few months ago, and we are not only us but also other people in the team are trying just to work on some nice user cases. And yeah, I'm glad to be here. So this is me. Next one, you can continue, guys.
You'll see me pause and hesitate before I jump up and start talking, just to give room for other people to jump in, because we can raise hands. We don't have to. Feel free to hop in and introduce yourself.
Okay, so I can go. I'm Filippo. I'm working at Web3 Foundation, which is the foundation behind Polkadot ecosystem. You might know that. And I'm a technical educator. So my main duties is maintaining the wiki pages, documentation, writing blog posts, making video tutorials, and traveling to conferences, doing workshops and talks. So engage with the community, technical support, and consultancy for parachains. And yeah, that's me.
Thank you for being here, Filippo.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, James, yes. Haha, go.
Hey everybody, hey Peter. My name is James. I'm a developer and a technical educator in the Cardano community, a co-founder of Gimbal Labs and of the Andamio platform. And we've just been playing around a lot with how on-chain artifacts can be created and used that help people make connections. So really excited to participate today.
Thanks for coming.
So my name's Steve, and I've been a part of the Cardano community since late 2020. And what's been most interesting to me over the years is the idea of decentralized infrastructure. I just find that fascinating, and as well as education. And this is, I've always been attracted to Felix and Peter's efforts, as well as James's. Been involved in countless discussions at Gimbal Labs about how to do these things. I think that I don't have that desire to be a developer, but I'm very intrigued by the problems developers face, and I try to sit in on development meetings just to kind of understand the problems that they wrestle with. And I think about that in combination with education, because I think there's got to be a bridge from somebody who is a cashier at a gas station and blockchain in a way that's understandable. So, like a lot of the education that Andamio is providing with project-based learning is great. But there's this space between that guy who's got a regular job and the first part of a project-based learning thing in the Cardano space, as I've seen it, and how to effectively educate people so that they understand the significance of the technology and apply it to their own lives and their own businesses, bringing real business into using the blockchain is very intriguing for me. And I spent a lot of time thinking about it. So,
Yeah.
Nice, thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Roberto.
Hey everybody, my name is Roberto. I'm also a co-founder of Andamio and a member of 45B. Lucas invited me. We did a little course called Cardanos and Tecnicismos. I wanted to introduce myself because I thought it was so appropriate going after Steve, because that's kind of the same thing that we try to do with Cardanos and Tecnicismos. I'm originally from Guatemala, and we had a funny thing that happened. El Salvador adopted Bitcoin, and it's legal tender, but the only people that use it are Americans. And there's this huge, enormous gap between the people that need the technology and the people that actually use it. And I think if we really want to be the next currency of the world, that needs to be bridged. So the Cardanos y Tecnicismos and Cardano for Non-Techs that Lucas started, the focus was on just removing all the technicalities away from adopting of the blockchain technology in Cardano specifically. And that was my role. I did a little course in Spanish, and it was we did a couple iterations, and it was really interesting. It was a really great learning experience. Yeah.
Thank you, Roberto.
Nice.
I think this is a good time to jump in. So, hi everyone. It's curious because you just know the people you don't know are probably from the Polkadot side. And first of all, thanks to uniFires for bringing us together, because we are fighting the same fight. So yeah, like Roberto was saying, I actually started in Cardano 2-3 years ago. Firstly landed at Gimbal Labs, and I helped there a bit with some things, learned a lot as well, especially the why we're here part, and we'll keep iterating on that. But from there, we had an opportunity to teach non-technical people. So like some admins of a cohort of learners wanted to learn how to install wallets. And from there, I spun up the Cardano for Non-Techs initiative. And now we've wrapped it in what we call 45B, which has to do with the fixed monetary policy of 45 billion of ADA. And that bridges with what I try to bring, not just to end users, but to small and medium businesses, so that they can learn why Bitcoin is sound money, a lot more than fiat, why Cardano is an alternative if you want to add development and smart contracts, bridging you to Web3. And so basically, yeah, that's the mission. A big part of what we try to teach is around the problem that crypto is solving. So around TradFi, macroeconomics, inflation, fractionary reserve, those kinds of notions are something that I think is critical for someone to actually value what alternatives crypto is trying to bring.
Thank you, Lucas.
Cheers.
Awesome. I'll hop in here quickly. My name's Peter Wolcott. I've been in and around Cardano since 2020, 2021. I've worked in Project Catalyst since Fund 5 or 6 as a decentralized worker, earning ADA to help facilitate the distribution of Cardano treasuries to builders in the ecosystem and even builders from other ecosystems. This year has been interesting, and since Fund 11, when uniFires got funded, I'm very excited about this effort, and I think that especially based on Lou recently did an interview with Peter Bowie, Learn Cardano, and it was so good to see all the positive comments that came out of this. Lots of people appreciate this effort, so I'm just really energized because I think we can actually create some footing for ecosystems to build around as we socially bridge between. So very excited to be here and to be learning with all of you. That's me.
Nice. Who is missing, guys?
Got Felix, Anna, and Jimmy.
Yeah, I can go next. So I'm Jimmy Cliff. I'm the CEO at Parity Technologies, and I'm currently supporting the Polkadot Blockchain Academy, which was originally a part of Parity but was spun off into a separate entity. But the founder and CEO of PBA is currently on maternity leave. We're having a baby, so I'm stepping in to support while she's on maternity leave. I've been with Parity for 3.5 years. It is my first step into the blockchain world professionally, but yeah, that's so. I come from a people operations, product internationalization background, but yes, very happy to escape Web 2 into a different kind of world. And maybe just quickly for PBA to add to context, if anyone's not familiar, it's originally set up 2 years ago. So the first cohort was in Cambridge, and the intent was to present a primarily academic course, not a boot camp or any kind of skills training course, but an academic course explaining the academic, philosophical, and design-based decisions underlying blockchain generally, with the specific application of Polkadot, in order to have people understand what, why you would want to even have blockchains in the first place and what purpose they might build, so they could then create genuinely novel things out of it. So not meant to replace the otherwise, other training or boot camp or skills-based programs, and more the kind of fundamental ideas and academic principles. And it does basically is 2 cohorts a year cooperating with universities around the world and at various different places. The next one being in Singapore this summer.
If I may just join that, I know already like 2 or 3 people that went through PBA in different times, and both of them just started either their own projects in Polkadot ecosystem. It helped them to start their because they have two tracks. I think first one is founder, and the other one, not sure how you call it. But yeah, the from the experience what I know from these people. It was very, very useful for them. They met so many people, they built contacts, and they got really like very good base to just either start their own project or participate in the ecosystem. So it's very nice. So yeah.
Yeah, so the core track is a technical track focused primarily on engineers. It requires like a strong understanding of Rust, and it requires like the even though it's not specifically a coding course, you need the core CS requirements, and Rust is what most of Polkadot is built with, so the key requirement. The founders track was an experiment done for the last couple of cohorts. It has been continuously adjusted, and there's a we can talk about this in more detail, but there's definitely a tension between like the wanting to do things that are based on core protocol level development versus like higher up stack dApp development and more I guess commercial or user oriented things. So it's like this constant ongoing evolution of what PBA is and who it's aimed for in that process. But currently the core track is focused on fundamental protocol level development and understanding of like the fundamentals of blockchain.
Thank you for adding.
Yes, yes. Couple more intros. Yeah.
And after me, I think it's only Anna who left. I'm Felix, joining also from uniFires group, but over from a governance work group, where I currently learn a lot on Polkadot governance. Very impressed. It's awesome. Really. You make governance sexy, definitely. And today, mostly sitting here and learning and listening to you guys, because education is very important to governance as well. But yeah, clever listener here.
Thank you. Thank you. Anna, I don't know if you want to come off mute and introduce yourself. If not, that's fine. No pressure. I'll wait like 5-10 more seconds.
Yeah, I was standing by, but I invited Anna just to sit in as an educator.
Okay.
Probably she's not going to want to participate much, but I've been trying to challenge her because her background is in education, but completely like real world seniors, even for like institutional for many years. And yeah, she's just sitting in.
Thank you for being here, Anna. That's awesome. Yeah, my fiance is a elementary educator, so education is something we think about a lot. Anyway, so great for all of you being here. Thank you for your introductions. We're gonna pivot towards the questions now. We got 9 people, well, 8 or 9 people participating today, so we don't need to be too critical on ourselves, not in terms of taking up too much floor space, but we probably want to keep our answers to the questions as we go around the circle less than 2 minutes, so that everyone gets the chance to express themselves and we get a good palette of information from the workshop. All right, well, with that, thank you for coming. Last time when I asked the first question, it was like in school, and I don't know how to not do that. First question is, what strategies look best to you when it comes to education, and how can we do better? Does anybody have that brainstormed and ready to articulate?
It's kind of difficult, right? Because I mean, depends on the audience. You change your strategy, you change, the way you articulate and the vocabulary you use. So in this, how would you like us to answer this question? It's like in general, or
that the point you just made there is great. It's like, well, one is there's different types of people, classes of people that you're educating. So that's an excellent point that we capture. Now, if you want to pick one of those, like, what's your favorite thing to do, or what do you consider something that's novel, you can go any direction you want. Yeah, pretty open-ended.
in general, I like to take entry-level kind of enthusiasts people. That's probably what I'm focusing on mostly right now, since I will have to learn more about Rust, and I will audit the PBA that Jimmy was also like mentioning. So my current audience is definitely like totally entry level, someone that doesn't know anything about blockchain or stuff like that, and then like already enthusiasts that already know or like use, in this case, Polkadot. And yeah, the strategy that I use mostly, when it comes to entry level, is to like not bore too much with technicalities and technical terms, and try to like even simplify concepts. Sometimes it's even that simplified that it loses also the technical meaning. But I see that it's kind of necessary to suscitate curiosity of the person, of the people, because already, like, for example, this year I wanted to do like a sort of a series of articles, journal articles here where I live in Lugano. In my hometown is like there is the Lugano Plan B that is now very established. You can pay with Bitcoin almost everywhere. So it's highly Bitcoin focused. I would say like even like Bitcoin Maxi kind of environment. And it has been difficult to like convince the editor of the journal to do an article about blockchain, because blockchain is a term that people don't know. Most people know Bitcoin, but they don't know about blockchain. So the article ended up to be an article more about kind of, the Bitcoin and custody a little bit about that you own the cryptocurrency, the difference between having a cryptocurrency and like your funds in a bank account, very 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 basic things, and let me realize like how the masses really are very behind in this space. And sometimes as an educator, when it comes even like to technical stuff and use like technical tools and wallets, you lose kind of the perception of the real world, because mass adoption is not here yet. Definitely like 90% of the population, even more, doesn't know about blockchain and doesn't know what blockchain is, even here in Lugano, where there is Lugano Plan B. And yeah, it's the strategy to me is like sometimes just try to suscitate curiosity with simple stories or personal kind of experiences about what it means to have your funds, your custody, the difference between this and maybe having your funds in a bank account that is a custodial service. This kind of really basic kind of things that people are interested in, and then from there try to like move the discussion towards in this case Polkadot, what is Polkadot, what it offers. But this comes very very late in the stage, and people get bored easily, and sometimes you don't get there. So still trying to really like it's tough to try to suscitate interest,
Right. Keep that curiosity alive. It's yeah. James.
Yeah,
go
yeah, I
ahead.
must say, sorry,
Oh.
sorry, just I must say that I had when I first came to the eco, I had a bit issue also with this, because everything was very technical and there was not enough of materials or like things that were, like for normal users, because I'm not a developer, I'm not from the technical side, I do everything else, but the technical part is just not good for me. And yeah, for me, I also noticed when I wanted to explain people more about crypto in general or Web3 or these things, or maybe even like Polkadot, the best way is maybe just to show some like user cases, like, so not start, or maybe like something that they can use. So it's not only about the explanation what is this and what is this, but maybe try to already include them somehow, which is not that easy, because we don't have that many user cases for mass adoption, like, so I think this is one of the issues that we can later add. And yes, sorry James, I didn't see that you raised your hand. I sorry.
I couldn't decide whether to raise my hand or not. I know Peter doesn't want it to feel too much like a classroom, but I was thinking, piggybacking on a lot of what Filippo just said, right? Like we're teaching people new things about what their relationship with money can be. And there's words for that, and people in this room might like or hate some of those words. For example, I have mixed feelings about the word sovereignty. I think it's a good concept. I think it's sometimes an overused concept, and people use it as an excuse for bad behavior. But pick what word you want, right? Whether it's independence, sovereignty, agency, but also curiosity is part of this, right? And so all of us are familiar with how hard it is to get somebody to rethink their relationship with money. We've all been there. Well, this is a bank and this is crypto. Fine. What I'm most interested in is the fact of my experience that you can have people who are in Web3 who already understand this bit about a new relationship to money, and yet their educational beliefs are stuck in the past. And I think we have a responsibility to change this. How many people have each of us met who, when they enter an educational experience, just want to be told what to do? Made it look easy. Well, fine. And what's funny is that all of these things we expect about education are exactly what lead to the disengagement, right? Getting to the good stuff. I think we can start from the very beginning by having people do something, and to understand what a sovereign or independent or creative, or my preferred term is agency, right? Agency supporting, right? A cultivating experience of education that makes you forget about all those things you were taught violently in most cases between the ages of 5 and 17. All right, what were we taught? Listen to the teacher, comply, 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 don't get in trouble, check the right boxes. You could probably add things to that list. All of that stuff doesn't serve us anymore. And if we're leaving behind financial practices that don't serve us, maybe we have the chance to do the same thing with education. And I think it's our responsibility as pioneers to push people's thinking about their concept of education in the first place.
I like these thoughts. Thank you. Anybody else want to hop in? Yeah.
Sure. This was what James just said is what attracted me to hanging out in his Discord server. You know, like I think he really has a good grasp of why things are the way they are. And, you know, like most of my life, I was struggling with the fact that, you know, like as a kid in school, I kind of breezed through, you know, it wasn't ever really very hard for me. And yet I got no direction from it. I didn't really know what to do with the fact that I was, you know, always getting better grades in school than everybody else, because they didn't really know what to tell me. And the teachers had their own level of disinterest in their students. And that led me into, you know, this never-ending sense of frustration with the real world, you know, as an adult. You know, it just never felt satisfying to work for a corporation. And it was extremely difficult to be self-employed or to have my own business. And all of those things didn't have anything to do with me or my abilities. You know, it didn't feel like. And so when I discovered blockchain, you know, and I started to, you know, by the time I was 40, I was really pissed off at the way the world was. And I didn't know why the world was the way that it is. And I spent a lot of time just reading and watching stuff about history, about how we got to the point that we were at in the 2000s. And, you know, at some point stumbled onto these ideas that blockchain and cryptography represent. And so, you know, it's very exciting to me that there has actually been people smarter than me who actually have worked on, you know, creating solutions to the problems created by the world being the way that it is. I'm, it's, living a life like that, like makes me much more of a generalist than a specialist. Like I never became, I came out of high school and I was programming, but it wasn't interesting to me. I didn't want to spend my time, I spend my life doing that. And so, but I understood the power of it. And so what I think that we can do is if we can find ways to, like in a business, take somebody young who hasn't thought about these issues. Most people who are 20 to 30 haven't had time to think about these issues. And I think that if we can present well-rounded ideas in the way a business can be run when it's based on blockchain, we can alleviate a lot of that low-level stress and frustration of being an adult in this world, right? In the sense that, you are creating value for yourself by doing your job, right? Because the value you create in that job is going to be not just accounted for in a public way, in an open way, right? Imagine working for McDonald's and actually seeing how you have impacted McDonald's business for that day or that month or that year, and what your share of that was, how you were paid. And imagine, then seeing where the money went from all of those sales. And if people knew that shit about McDonald's, they would say, fuck you guys, I'm not working for you guys, right? But imagine a business that was actually doing that in a more holistic and human way. And you would see that actually you've created value that's spread and has helped everybody that's working with you, and has helped your family, and has helped your community. In a business that's actually creating a consumable product, right? Where it's not just the people making the product, but it's the suppliers of the raw materials are involved in you making that product, and the consumers who are actually using that product. And everybody's part of this virtuous cycle. And you can see that, in your wallet, on your phone, how everybody's taken part and contributed to that virtuous cycle. And that, that's so high level, it's almost like evangelism, it's like religion, and yet it's not religion, right? It's like, this is actually the way things work. And because there's so many details in that picture, it's very easy for it to kind of just get lost. But blockchain can allow us to make that apparent to everyone. We can show everybody what we did and the value that accrues from that. And so, I'm looking for ways to start small businesses, because I think that's how we educate, is like we show people. Project-based learning is giving a problem to a group of people and having everybody work on that together, and then you see it.
Yeah. And
that's the problem for me in widespread adoption, is like, how do we make it apparent the benefits of this tech? I'm sorry, it was a long, I'll try not to do that again.
Thank you, Steve. But yeah, let's try to keep it tight. We got a few questions to get through when we do have a stop in 25 minutes. So we're gonna keep it respectful of everyone's time. Filippo, you have your hand up, sir. And would you like to chime in on this question, or are you moving on to the next one?
Yeah, just looking at the question right now. So regarding opportunities, definitely, like, I can see there are a lot of opportunities, also because most of the people don't know what you can do with this technology. and most of the people are skeptical. And this level of the very high level of skepticism is still a major point hindering the adoption of this technology. I've seen but at the same time, people are curious. I was in a bar over the weekend, and I met a usual group of friends, and I didn't want to discuss this kind of topic. I don't want to discuss about these things, but somehow the discussion went there, and I never share with them my job, what I do, and the discussion went over and over for three hours, and they were keeping bombarding me with questions. So definitely, there is a lot of interest and curiosity, also because cryptocurrency is kind of a sexy term, and there are mixed stories of successes and failures, but people still are attracted by the successes, of course. And what I personally see is, in order to get people really interested and glued basically to you, you need to start from a main problem that people have. If you don't start from a main problem, people are never going to learn about this. And they will not spend time to learn about this unless they learn for something that solves their problem. Mm-hmm. And I think here, in the case of Polkadot, I see staking as a good use case to teach, for example, self-custody, to teach about the difference between, the standard service like banks, and why crypto was born in the first place with Bitcoin, and try to let them understand these problems, because these are problems everybody has right now, especially with inflation in some countries more than others. And I think this is really something that helps people to be interested, and then to start learning about it. Because, for example, I told my friends, hey, look, cryptocurrencies are kind of interesting. They were born because of this, and the situation hasn't really changed. I think it has been even worse right now. And try to if you have this kind of tokens, you can stake them. You help the system to have the security of the system. At the same time, you get rewards, and they're already oh wow, how is it possible? So how is it possible you get I don't know, how is it possible you get 17% when the inflation of the token is 10%? Then you have to go and explain them, yes, but because not everybody's taking, so you start to talk about the token economy, inflation, how's the inflation is, where it comes, inflation is in the code. There is no kind of, how to say, system behind that is lending or this kind of stuff. This is coded in, native staking is in the code, it has been researched by the economists. So you start talking about also the foundation, and there are real people behind that they're working on it. So because you need also to gain the trust of these people in order to let them start doing something. So you need to really explain them that this is real, that even the funds that you see in your bank account is a number, that the bank doesn't have the actual liquidity, for everybody. You know what I mean? It's something that, yes, starting from the problem, and I already see that. Then I just send to them, for example, the wiki that I'm writing. Look, read this article, read this page, to understand better how it works, and they actually do it. They actually go and look at it, and then maybe they take the ledger and they start using the ledger and this kind of stuff. It's a very long process, but starting from a real problem, it lets them to do everything basically themselves, because they're so interested, and that even they do something small, but they see that it works, and then they get the trust, and then they learn more. And they start to learn about the governance, how cool, and these kind of things. So, but it's a very, very complicated and long process. I think it varies also depending on the culture, on the country, the type of people, the type of problems. So everybody in his own country might adopt different strategies to educate.
Yeah, lots of opportunities. Heck yeah. Thank you, Filippo. That was good. Lucas. Sir Lucas.
Hey, so I really agree with mostly everything that's been said, and it's making perfect sense. Just coming back to from my notes in terms of overall context, I usually try to separate and target the what I'm trying to say and who I'm trying to according to who I'm trying to teach. So we usually try to identify usual learner profiles as being what I dropped on the chat. So end users are completely different than a business owner or an entrepreneur or an organization, an NGO or something like that. Then you have like Web 2 or Web 3 devs that are just building apps. So those are just mostly serving the second ones. So a small medium business hires a Web 3 dev, and so they need different types of teaching. And then the core blockchain devs, I would say these are the easiest ones because are already highly technical people that are, give me the manual or give me the resources, and they crack on with it. So yeah, just on extending this type of thing and building on what you guys were saying, I'm going to drop a second batch of text there. So I think it's interesting because when Filippo was just talking about skepticism, I wondered if some people mostly come from two sides, whether they don't trust that the technology is going to stick because Google's still not running blockchain or whatever, which, by the way, they are already getting into it, or they are skeptical about the monetary alternative side. Those are two completely different angles that we may need to unwrangle things in people's minds. Regardless of these skepticisms, they're usually quite keen on jumping into whatever project it seems to be 5xing or 10xing. So just yesterday on the train station, there was a guy with a WorldCoin wallet just showing it to whoever was passing by. He wants to buy people's world token because people have been selling their retinas. And I just stopped and talked to the guy with Bit and asked, why aren't you doing this about Bitcoin or something? I had a sort of a nice discussion with him. So the FOMO part is ridiculous, how it offsets all the skepticisms and people just, and I also added in there, I think, basically with this kind of FOMO, they are open to disregarding their self-sovereignty and the decentralization of the systems they're buying into, or who they are funding when they actually buy into whatever token, and they disregard all that. So these are two sides that are really puzzling to me. So coming back to what's happening on our chains, I think, at least for Cardano, people keep talking about rewards, and even that is a FOMO driver for people who like buy some ADA and you get 3% rewards. And I keep trying to ask people to look at inflation adjusted staking rewards. If you do that, you will see that the actual the value that you gain is close to zero. So that's one point where I think we should start by being honest with the learners, that don't start pushing them to go in state because you're going to get more ADA. Start by teaching them what inflation and inflation adjusted metrics are. Then in terms of strategies that work better, what I come to mature in our docs at 45B was this very basic 1, 2, 3 approach, where one is, if you spend 10 minutes talking to someone, you might as well have that person install a wallet and send her 5 ADA, because that way she knows what's a seed phrase and that she has a balance, and etc. Second point is know the problem before the solution. I have a number of links about that and materials. And the third point is see where things are at today. Don't think up in your mind. If you think digital currency could work in the world, go and see what has been happening for the past 10 years. And that's it. And overall, aligning with what many of you said, keep things practical, hands-on, like James, and project-based learning type of mentality is defending. And mainly, if you listen to people that are actually genuinely friendly to you, they are going to be showing their preconceptions to you. You just need to let them tell you what's coming to mind as a fear, as a concern, and give them what you think in response. In terms of identifying opportunities, what I put together in my notes here is very, very high level. Any Web3 non-financial, I would say, use case is usually even more friendly. So I talk about micropayments, how that's going to change the marketing and publicity industry. You can talk about supply chain, or an endless number of use cases. I usually explain to people when people start saying we need more TVL or whatever, like how many websites do you access that are banks? From all the websites that you access and apps, how many of them are banks? And that's why I think there's like a span of use cases that don't need to be financial. And in terms of opportunity as well, all the TradFi history, financial colonialism, there's Alex Gladstein's work that I've been sharing extensively to a number of people. I think that's a huge opportunity to teach people why this could be an alternative. Sorry for the rant.
You're good.
But those were good points.
Yes, very good. Jimmy, see you, man. Thank you for being here. Quick. All right. Yeah. Thank you, Lucas. You done? Or okay, cool. I'll jump in here and then we're gonna pivot to the last question here, but I'm gonna jump in and talk about strategy. So as I've watched freelancers experiment with onboarding, or people who work for specific projects, part-time onboarding or directly onboarding people to their project, and sorting through, yeah, all of the different levels of competency in blockchain. I feel like these ecosystems don't have any front desk presence. There's just like an amorphous blob of information on the internet that it's hard to parse. And while we have a few people who really continue, like yourself, Lucas, who have started initiatives like 45B and offer these types of services to teach people, there's not like that's not, I don't feel like that's culturally in the ecosystem valued, and I feel like it in education generally isn't valued. It's undervalued, and it's been robbed from continuously over the years. Public education in America for sure has gotten worse and worse, and I think it's directly related to student-teacher ratios. But in an internet civilization, we could establish a knowledge base and provide temporary employment for individuals to function in this role, where you could pick up a part-time gig sitting on a knowledge base and dealing out services for teaching, well, doing this type of onboarding, or showing how specific or anything that, once you're in that position, you can learn and adapt and teach people all sorts of things because you have been put in the position to do that. So I think it would be cool to have some type of front desk presence, and then maybe we could have I have in here some sort of creator stipend or UBI, but what I'm more thinking of, maybe that could be like some democracy bucks. Like you go through you go through that front desk and you get tokens that then when you're learning from other creators or other teachers in the ecosystem, they can get those and redeem them for some other type of reward that comes from the treasury. That's a potential strategy that I see as how we can chum the water in terms of making people feel like they have the energy to put into experimenting with educating other people. It is a passion thing, and that might take a dive towards those who can't teach, but I think at the same time it just kind of creates a layer in an ecosystem that well, it lubricates the work and the actual energy it takes to train somebody, to build trust with someone, and go from there. Yeah, these all can be yeah, fabric, James, that's right. Good. All right, well, moving on to the I think we'll jump to the final question. How do we incentivize quality education? We can tie this into making sure we have a quality. Well, if we're trying to actively contradict the idiom of those who can't do teach, how do we incentivize those who can do also teach and make it so that they have the energy to do that? Because it is energetically expensive to connect with someone you don't know and carry them. Well, not carry. Sometimes you're carrying them, but at least you're supporting weight in showing them around. And this ends up being adults. It's not like kids bouncing off the walls with tons of energy. But it's still energy intensive. So, how do we incentivize quality education? What do you guys think?
Pete, I always, because it's, like they all say, we're so early, right? Like this is a tiny fraction of people that have, been captivated by these concepts and have the energy to do this stuff. And yet, like there's holes. We have a lot of people, that are really thinking about code and write great code and are doing cool shit and making it secure and all of that. But, like it's a fine art to put the front end onto that. Right. And we don't seem to be attracting those people. The people who are doing the most beautiful front ends are, they're doing game interfaces or they're working for high level corporations. And so what I'm curious about is like, how do we attract people who understand front end concepts, design concepts, and can grasp the technical stuff and take all this highly technical cryptographic, tooling and make it pretty and easy to use. And that's, to me, that's a real issue, that we have still, after this many years of Cardano development, Polkadot development, everything, it's like, it's the grandma problem. I've got my mother into this. I've got other older friends into this. And they are scared shitless to do anything in their wallet. Like I have to hold their hand on everything. And it ought to be a little bit easier,
Yeah. Oof. Yeah, that's a good one. The UI is getting easier we were talking about that last week in the Creator Strategies Honlu. All right, Filippo. Thank you. You have your hand up, sir.
Yeah. I think that as an educator, you need to start building a network, and it should be a network. Usually, like what I've seen that is that coders, like protocol level guys, like core developers, they will never gonna teach people. They don't have time. They don't have the patience. It's not a critique, also the personality. I've seen like most of these people, they don't have like the patience really to dumb it down at that level, for the masses. So I don't think mass adoption will be because education from this kind of guys. But the technical educator is the guy between them and the mass, because the technical educator usually can really not maybe easily, but can spend the time and can definitely understand what the core developers are doing. So there should be kind of a little bit of time, a little bit of patience for the core developers and people that are building the protocol to support the technical educator, make sure that understands. I mean, of course, we can read, we can do stuff, but definitely there should be like some discussion between the core devs and the technical education team. And then when the technical educator really understands, he can really disseminate the information to different kind of crowds. It can, if it's like for entry level, for enthusiasts, or for like businesses or retail, you know, like at that point, the knowledge can be disseminated. So I've seen this is very difficult at the moment. I've seen a couple of, of many like developers. Usually I've seen maybe 2 or 3 are willing, like, you know, to discuss, and they have the time and they can take the patience to, you know, to provide feedback and these kind of things. But yeah, I think like it's a very important step. I think it's probably the most important step. It's to be able to go from the core developers to the, you know, the technical educator, and then to the dissemination of the information through, you know, the Polkadot wiki in the case of Polkadot, and the blog post and the interviews, and, you know, because also as a technical educator, then it's a very kind of diverse kind of job, because you need to, you know, start to public speaking, and you need to be able to engage in discussion and be interesting and not be boring, because at the start, you know, it's very easy to get people, you know, lose the attention after a couple of minutes. Try to like build a, you know, a discussion without using blockchain, without using too complex terminology if the crowd is really basic. Yeah, I think like this is going back to, you know, high quality education, how you can incentivize high quality education. It should be really a teamwork in the ecosystem, cross team, you know, cross teamwork.
Yeah.
Because you know, we are early. We will always be early if it will continue like this, because the problem is that the crowd will never learn, the crowd will never use the technology, and will never do anything with it if we don't break this skepticism, if you don't break, like, you know, because people also, they will do something because of you, you know, because you give kind of some trust, you know, you give some level of, you know, they can sense some level of expertise, and they trust you, and they will try to do it, you know. So you should be also very very secure. You have to know exactly, you know, how to do things, and it takes a long time before you reach that level of confidence. And also you always have the problem of scam and these kind of things. So people might think maybe you are, you know, like you're not an educator, but you are an evangelist, or you are a scammer, or so it takes time also to build a reputation as a person, you know, in the ecosystem and outside the ecosystem.
Those were good points. Yeah,
Yes.
really
Yes,
good
yes.
points.
Thank you, Filippo. That was great. We're approaching the top of the hour. I just pinged my boss and told him I'm going to be 5 minutes late, but we have I wanted to capture what you wanted to say, James, and you too, Lucas. And then if you guys don't mind, any notes that you have covered, you've created for this, if you could send them our way, we'll include those, and that way that can be we'll put in our documentation, and that'll be public on Giftbook here soon. We are trying to fill it up a little bit so that it doesn't look barren when we publish. All right. James.
Yeah, I'll try to keep it quick because I have to jump. But this concept of core developers not having time to teach, I do think is mostly true. But one of the things we've realized in years of thinking about education is that every time we try to find the right examples or the right wisdom, we always find ourselves working backwards to practices and structures that predate blockchain, often by centuries. And so here's an example of one, right? You know who else didn't have time to teach? Were skilled artisans of any kind, right? And so what system did they create? You would never ask a skilled artisan from centuries ago to go teach a room full of 14-year-olds who don't care.
Right.
But you would match them up with a small group of apprentices. And having an apprentice is way better than money. When you have somebody who's really paying attention and trustable, right? Think about the main reason core devs don't quote unquote have time is they don't trust other people to become good enough to take their place, as they shouldn't. With blockchain, how many people do you want to trust with that responsibility? Better off just doing it myself. But we can change that. You can build structures that change that. And as a teacher, the thing for me that's always been most exhausting is when people don't give a shit about what I'm trying to teach.
Right.
I spent 14 years teaching high school kids. And thank goodness there were a handful in every classroom who had good questions. Otherwise, I would have left a lot sooner. And that same structure continues here in Web3. Most people who show up for an education experience aren't really willing to work that hard yet. And so if you can save the most talented educators their time from working with people like that, and if we can create systems where people can get to that apprentice experience, I do think you'll see a lot more people willing to contribute some of their time towards those educational efforts. I hope we can look at that together. And I'm really sorry, guys, I got to jump.
No.
But thanks for creating this space.
Thank
but
you.
Talk soon, y'all.
That's awesome. See you, James. Peace. All right, Lucas, you had your hand up. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do what I did before, drop it on the chat and voice it very briefly. So in short, I think if we're inventing or facilitating crypto so that so that the world can exchange value in a fluid way, why isn't it subsidizing ourselves as well? So if crypto has that potential, that's what we're selling to businesses or whoever wants to adopt it. So why don't we use it to fund ourselves? And so that's what I'm advocating with these points here, which I just put together as we were speaking. So the first thing is to break through the stigma of providing training or facilitation services as a non-formal peer-to-peer trainer. So if we want people to teach people, they need to be at ease to do it and to not have that stigma of,
That's
oh,
awesome.
I'm not a certified trainer, I'm not a teacher. Second thing, but also with what Filippo said, there needs to be a network of trust, right? So that you're not just learning from some random Joe on the street. Anyway, find a way that you're comfortable with dealing with receiving payments and all that. So I think it's cheers, Steve. See. So that's a second point that I think is blocking a lot of people. They think that if they want to be sustainable in teaching online and teaching about these things, then how do they get paid? Do they need to start a business and pay taxes, or you need to find your own sweet spot there. And if you have those points broken through, you just basically build your activity, your business on top of it, or your organization or something. So that's what we're trying to do at 45B in a way. That's our dilemma. So that's a bit how I see it. And then, like Filippo also said, build things in a way that you can facilitate content or references sharing and auditing. So about the track record of who you're learning from, and do you really trust this person? I think that's basically it.
It's awesome. Well, thank you, Lucas. Appreciate the notes here too. Like I said, if anyone else has notes they want to contribute, we will publish them with the rest of our documentation. Thank you all for coming to Educator Strategies here on April 30th, last day of April in 2024. Hope to see you in the future, and best of luck to you and Polkadot and Cardano and all the other builders trying to make the world a better place. Yes. Appreciate you, and have a great, awesome rest of your day. Goodbye.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And just to let you know, when we put together some report or something, we will be sharing it with you all later. So thank you for your time, and let's stay in touch. Bye.
Yep, let's stay in touch. Bye.
Bye-bye.